The only people you need to be taking advice from are people who have been through a tough time, who have been through the shit, and they have made it out of it, and they have become better for it. Anything else, that's just kind of a waste of your time. You need to be listening to people who have battled addiction or grown up in poverty and overcome it, or they got out of jail and they improved their life, or someone who built something from the ground up with a very tough road, whether it be because they had a disability or a lack of funds or they had kids early, stuff like that. You want your coach to be immune to the curse of knowledge. And if you don't know, the curse of knowledge is a cognitive bias that we go through when we are trying to teach someone something and we can't imagine what it's like to be a beginner. Or it's probably better to say, we can't remember what it's like to not know something. Like if I go and I used to, teach kids calculus. If I'm teaching them calculus and I don't realize that their errors are really algebraic, I'm going to be sitting there like, how you not know how to substitute for X and solve for X? I have to remember that they may not remember, they may not know, they may not be comfortable applying these things. And a good teacher, they've remembered all of this, or they can remember all this. They know what it's like to be a beginner. You got to remember what it's like to be a beginner. Okay. That's how you make yourself immune to the curse of knowledge. And that is why you cannot take most advice from most people. They don't know the situation. If they do know the situation, they don't remember what it's like to have real challenges overcoming it. It's not as simple as do this, do that, do this. If it was, then you'd have figured it out already. And even if you figured it out, even if you know what the solution is, um, if your coach can't communicate that to you in a way that makes it make perfect sense and is applicable to your life, aware of all the internal things going on in your head that are keeping you from doing it, not just the external difficulties, but the internal doubts and fears and self questions that you ask yourself, uh, it's going to be useless. This is one of the reasons why, like, I understand there are some younger guys to take advice from. And in specific domains, there are younger guys that I take advice from. For example, on this YouTube thing, man, there's this young cat, Dan Coe, who really put me up on some game and it really improved the quality of my videos. Uh, but when it comes to like a lot of things dealing with real life, uh, if you listen to somebody under 30, you got to remember, not only have they not had a wealth of life experience, there are some things you just are not going to have experienced by the time you're 30. A lot of health things, for example, come to mind. Issues dealing with the death of parents and then overcoming that and then integrating any trauma they had or gave you with becoming a productive person, raising kids, things like that. You're dealing with somebody who's operating just from a very different world than you're operating in, and they're going to give you advice that may not make sense. This is really obvious when you see people online talk about things like productivity advice. And I always tell people, look, if your productivity coach doesn't have kids and you do, then you need to stop listening to them. Nothing they say is going to make sense. Everything they give you is going to simply be unapplicable. They're not going to know. It's a different world. That doesn't make them wrong. But I guess the point of me talking about this is for you to remember that you need to make sure that whoever you listen to, whoever you take advice from, whoever your life coach is, whoever your your advisors, the consiglieres are in your life, you got to make sure that they know what the hell it's like to actually have lived a life, that they have gone through some things, and that they've had time to learn from those things and integrate the lessons and then live out with those lessons. If they haven't done that, then you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. You know, I just had this thought while I was cooking up some dinner later for my crazy rambunctious toddler, and I just wanted to leave that with you. It was a quick thought off the riff. Hopefully, it helps some people out there, and it also helps some other people out there another way. If you're thinking about getting into this life coaching thing or giving people advice, you know, I really hate the phrase "stay in your lane," so I'm not going to use that. Instead, what I'll say is that you need to make sure that you are a good fit and not think with your pockets and your ego. You need to get those things out the way, and you need to just think, can I solve this problem? Because otherwise, you're doing yourself a real disservice and you're doing the other person a disservice. And that creates all kind of messy karma in your life. And you'll pay for it one way or the other. Or they will, and that's just as bad. It's gonna be on that blood's gonna be on your soul. Anyhow, that's all I got for you, man. I'm gonna go pick up some chorizo from my chorizo guy. He's finally back in town. Peace.